we gonna be real unstiff. So I want you, we in a Baptist church. So I want you to look to the person on your left and say, you look good. And then I want you to look at yourself and say, I look good too. Welcome to a Black Baptist church on Beatties Ford Road. So without further ado, we are going to turn it over to the Honorable Kimberly Bess, and she will welcome you further to this esteemed body that you have had with your August body sales.
Good evening, everyone. It is such a blessing to have you here this evening. I am a member of Rita Memorial Baptist Church. The beautiful woman that you just heard from, who is all about the business of empowering our community, is none other than Colette Forrest, who is the chair of our Social Justice Committee here at Rita Memorial Baptist Church. Here at Rita Memorial Baptist Church, we understand that the community should have a voice. We understand that the community needs to be educated, and we understand that it is our responsibility to provide that opportunity to our community members and to our elected officials. Under the leadership of Pastor Thomas Farrow, who is in the back, and who will be bringing you greetings and a prayer, because we are in a house of faith, and we believe in leading with prayer and thanking God for all of our blessings. And Pastor Farrow will come forward to thank you all, but I want to, on behalf of the Social Justice Committee, and Colette Forrest will thank you again, say thank you all for coming and being concerned about your community and be willing to participate in your community.
Praise God, from whom all blessings flow. We welcome you to the sanctuary of Rita Memorial Baptist Church. I would have you to know also that we are streaming tonight's conversation across different platforms. You can watch this on YouTube, on Rita's page, as well as Facebook on Rita's page. So perhaps you have a neighbor or someone in your sphere of influence who wanted to be here but could not. I encourage you to share that information with them. But again, we are so happy to have all of our esteemed guests who are going to be sharing very pertinent and important information with us. Here at Rita, we believe that the work of the church and the work of the community are inextricably connected. And so, again, we're grateful. We're grateful. So I'm excited about a meaningful conversation that we're going to have. Of course, if you need to use our facilities, they're just over here to the left. Please, we usually have bathrooms back here, but we're renovating in this back part of the church, so I encourage you to just go out the back, and you can find the lavatories there to my left and your right. But again, we say welcome, welcome, welcome. Let us pray. Gracious and all-wise God, we thank you for you blessing us and giving us strength to come into your house to discuss issues that are pertinent and important to our community. We're grateful for technology, which allows us to maintain community without the demand for proximity. So I'm asking God a blessing upon those who are here, Lord, upon those who are watching. Allow us, God, to leave more informed so that we can not only know better, but do better. I thank you, God, for these public servants who give so much of their time, talent, and even treasure to this community and trying to give lift. Certainly, God, from our mayor and everyone here who contributes in their own special and unique way. We pray a special blessing upon them. Pray, God, that you might give them strength to endure that which you have called and commissioned them to do. In Jesus' name, amen, amen, and amen. Again, thank you for being here. God bless you.
Good evening. My name is Colette Forrest, and I am blessed and honored to be the chair of the Social Justice Committee here. If I could have School Board Member D. Rankin, if you could please stand. He's the fellow member of the Social Justice Chair. We have the Honorable Kimberly Bess, who's also a member of our Social Justice Committee. And we also have Ms. Burris, who is not here, but she is also a member of our Social Justice Committee. So, rules of engagement. Let me move around. This ain't gonna be no panic. Everybody tired of panic. We are going to listen to you. About you. We're going to break up in groups, and you are going to talk to each other. You are going to talk with one another. There are only 3 rules. Love on one another, listen to one another, and learn from one another. And some of the groups, you may have somebody from the west side, or the east side, or the north side, or the west side. So you learn what their area might be going through that you may not have been aware. You might find out what their community are being challenged by. So without further ado, allow me to introduce our esteemed community engagers. If I could have our senior Congresswoman, and now she ain't a senior because she old, she a senior because she just been in the seat that long because she that bad. If Congresswoman Alma Adams could step forth, and you will take a seat right here. Now, I really don't need any paper to introduce any of these individuals. Miss Alma began on the school board in Guilford County, and she rose her way up to the State House and the legislature. And she has always been astutely aware of what matters to the people. Now, no pun intended, but she is a woman that wears many hats, and she wears them well. Please welcome our esteemed 12th Congressional Congresswoman, Alma Adams. Now, coming in the rear, and he really ain't a rookie, is my newly elected 14th Congressional Representative, Attorney Jeff Jackson. Would you please grace us and come forward? Now, Congressman Jeff Jackson recognizes how important public servant is. He has served in the National Guard. He has unfortunately seen the travesty of war, and he has also seen what it is for a woman to be challenged with breast cancer when his wife beat it and survived. So he is very empathetic. He has served as an attorney both in Mecklenburg County and Gaston County, and so what fitting ado to have his newly drawn seat representing the 14th Congressional District to represent both Mecklenburg and Gaston. What about that? So please, without further ado, Congressman Jeff Jackson. Now, representing City Council is our Mayor, Lyles. Now, Vi started in the city of Charlotte as our city assistant. She knows intricately about the workings of City Council, and she also knows how to move things through policy and budgets. So without further ado, please, the woman that made history and became the first Black woman mayor of a large city such as Charlotte, North Carolina, Mayor Lyles. Now, we would be remiss if we did not recognize that we are in Black History Month. Now, this person is near and dear to my heart because he is my county commissioner, and he doesn't necessarily represent a Black district. So we need to applaud the citizens of the 4th County Commissioner District for having the courage to elect someone, wait for it, I think I'm about to say something that you're familiar with, by the content of their character and not the color of their skin. County Commissioner Mark Jerrell, if you would come forward, please. Now, another individual
Hold up, wait a minute, let me put some repetition in it. Another individual that made history with her election because she has not been not an elected official, and she represents a non-black district. Please, without further ado, she is a mother, she is a parent, she is a Delta, she is former chair of the Black Political Caucus. Please welcome Vice Chair of Charlotte-Mecklenburg School System, Stephanie Sneed, attorney at law. Now, rounding out this rambunctious crew, we have none other than Trustee Deacon Gregory D. Rankin of Rita Memorial Baptist Church. Wow. Now, Mr. Gregory D. Rankin, because I saw his mama come in here, so I'm making sure I call his full name, and his Shurin in here too, and his wife. And they sing on the choir and everything. They just intricately involved in Rita. So, Gregory D. Rankin, you represent School Board District 3. Would you please step forward with your trustee minding our money fiduciary self? Now, I'm going to pause right here because we have some phenomenal public servants in the audience. If all of the elected officials that tirelessly give of yourself, would you please stand up so you too can be recognized? I would be remiss to go any further without recognizing each and every one of you. Now, we have, don't sit down no way. So this is newly elected City Council District Representative Marjorie Molina. And in Black History Month, she get to like wear a dual hat because she is Hispanic and she is African American. So she like Hispanic and Afro-Caribbean. So yes, represent, Marjorie, represent. We have Superior Court Judge Lutrage. We have County Commissioner Velma Lee. We have District Court Judge Rhonda Patterson. Now, she is really, really dedicated because she had to get off the bench, go get her Shurin, because she's a single parent, all the way in Mint Hill, come here, and she is here, and we are thankful. Thank you so much. Now, she's one of the few people I know that when she took the bench, she took a pay cut because the girl was bad, family court practitioner. We have Superior Court Judge, who was previously a District Court Judge, Donald Curitan. We have among our senior member of the school board now, Ms. Lenora Shipp. Newly elected District Court Judge, and I am having a brain moment. Please enlighten us with your glorious name. Thank you so much for your service. And we have Matt Newton, who has represented multiple bodies of government. He is formerly a city council member that represented the now district that Marjorie Molina. So I'm telling you, Black folks, they're doing things, not just in Black History Month. I'm just saying. Now, Matt Newton is a district court judge. Thank you for your service. County Commissioner Pat Cotham, always around, have camera ready. County Commissioner, thank you. School board member, Thelma Byers-Bailey, attorney at law, thank you. Another newly member of the bench, Miss Elisa Levine, District Court Judge, thank you. Thank you. So now, the persons that are facilitators, Judge Donald Curitan, Judge Kimberly Bass, Judge Rhonda Patterson, Judge Lutrage, City Council Person Marjorie Molina, would you stand up, please? They are going to be guiding the groups. They will be guiding the groups, as you all discussed. So, the ground rules again. You are going to break up in groups, and we're going to do that right now. Each body of government, Congress, city, county commission, school board, I want you all to come up with your top 2 priorities that you want them to focus on. This is about you. I got potholes in my neighborhood. I ain't got no business in my neighborhood. I need a grocery store in my neighborhood. My school in my neighborhood ain't right. This is about you. Now, here's the catch. You might have people in your group that might have differencing of opinions. What they feel might be their priority. So this is where, what's our 3 L's? Love, listen, and learn. This is where you all have to come up to a consensus. What each group thinks their top 2 priorities are for Congress, the city, the county, and the school board. Love, listen, and learn. So what we are going to do, now Jeff, we ain't as bad as you with your gazillion followers on social media, but we know a good hashtag when we see it. So the hashtag for this evening is what the event is about. Who does what? Who does what? And of course, Black History Month. You will have 30 minutes for your breakout sessions, 30 minutes to report out. Miss Velma, don't laugh, because we're going to do it. We're going to get it done. We're going to get it done. We're going to get it done. Because you got judges in the house, so they're going to make y'all be obedient. So without further ado, we will have this illustrious body go through from Dr. Alma Adams, Attorney at Law and Congressman Jeff Jackson, Mayor Lyles, County Commissioner Mark Jerrell, Attorney Vice Chair Stephanie Sneed of the School Board, District Rep Mr. Dr. Deacon Trustee D. Rankin. They will take a minute or 2 to tell you what each body does, because that is why we're here. So many people think that some of the bodies of government do what they don't do. So we are here to educate. These folks are so gracious, as all the elected officials are, but they know they have listened lovingly to constituents, talk to them about issues, but they're not the body of government that does it. So we are going to talk tonight about what each body of government does, and then with that direction, you will be able to keenly with the scalpel talk to each body of government about what you would like to see them. So without further ado, Dr. Alma Adams, if you would let us know, what does Congresswoman Adams do?
You work hard all the time. Well, thank you, Colette, and thank you all so much for being here. It is indeed a privilege, and it's an honor for me to represent the 12th District. Thank you for sending me back for a 5th term. I appreciate that. Let me just, thank you. Let me just mention a couple of things, and I'm sure Brother Jackson here will want to add some. But we are the federal government, so any federal agency that you need to speak to or you need help from, we are your conduit to help you do that. If it's about Social Security, if it's about Veterans Affairs, if it's about, let's see, if it's about your disability, we can help you with that. If you need information or support from the IRS, now we can't file your taxes, but we can certainly help you if your tax return is late in terms of we're not going to pay that bill for you, but certainly we can help navigate the system. Also, the post office, USPS. If your mail is not being delivered on time, if you have issues there, service issues around the UPS. One of the things that we get a lot of calls about, and that's about passports. Let me just say that our office can assist in terms of your getting your passport. We can even help you if you need an emergency passport. And I have several of my staff members here who do that all of the time. But I do want to remind you that if you have a passport and you're planning to travel somewhere, make sure that you check and see if your passport is up to date. That is so important. We have people who come in at the last minute and they're trying to get their passport. Now, we can help navigate that, but we cannot absolutely assure that you are going to get it on time. But we certainly work to expedite. There's a process called expediting passports, so we can help you do that. The other thing that I want to mention that we don't think a lot about, and that is making sure that if you again, your federal agencies, we want to help you do that. But if you need to get any kind of emergency support, whether it's for DSS, that type of thing, we can make referrals for you, and certainly we can do that. If it's about housing, that's one of my 4 H's: housing, healthcare, higher education, and hunger. Those are issues that impact our community a lot. The other thing I want to mention is that we do provide services for students. For example, we have the Military Service Academy, where young people who may want to apply for one of the service academies, whether it's the Army, the Navy, any of those, we will have a service academy day, and you can apply. And I just learned that we had 4 students, 4 young people, to get notification from Coast Guard. Was it Coast Guard? West Point Academy. And so we want to continue. So my office makes those referrals, and we interview those young people and so forth. The other thing, and we do that annually, but we also have an annual arts competition, which is a national competition that all of the members of Congress do. And the winners in each district, the work goes to Washington, and it's exhibited in the Cannon Rotunda, and that's a big deal. We'll bring the parents and the student in as well. The other thing I want to mention in terms of students is the app challenge. To be able to create an app as a young person, or even an older person, I don't think it's, well, we do say it's students. So if you're in high school, that's what we look for. And so that app challenge is something that we also do annually. And finally, I want to mention one other thing, and we do many other things as well. But let me just also say that one of the things that we have agreed on, you know that we have a divided Congress to some extent, but we do work in, I just want to say, in a bipartisan way on many things. Those are not things that you always hear about. But we have decided to continue to have our community service programs, the community service dollars. We used to call them earmarks. We don't call them earmarks anymore, but they are marked for our specific districts. Last year, the past 2 Congresses, I was able to get $32 million for our community for various projects, and some of you are sitting in here right now who made application. Applications will be on my website soon, and I just want to encourage you, if you have a project that you believe we can help you with, certainly we want to do that. I'm going to leave something for my colleague, for my colleague to talk about. But let me just say, the first thing you want to do if you're having an issue with the federal government is to call or to email adams.house.gov. If you do that, we'll be able to reach out to you and make sure that we can help you. My constituent services manager, Avery Bonafati, is here. Julian Holland is here. He does constituent services as well. Sam Spencer is here, who does my communications. Gwen Pope is here helping us out also. And if you didn't get a calendar, please make sure you get one of our calendars for this year. Thank you very much.
You can tell I'm new because I don't have a calendar yet. I knew I was going to be speaking after Representative Adams. I knew she was going to hit all the bases. So I thought, well, I'm sure she won't mention the art project. So I'll tell them about that. She goes deep on the art project. We all invite you to apply. You're in Representative Adams' district. 1 mile south is the new congressional district that our state got because of population growth. We went from having 13 members of Congress to having 14. I am your 14th, so nice to see you. Basically anything south of Freedom Drive. If any of you happen to live south of Freedom Drive, I am your brand new representative. Been there for 5 weeks. And what I can tell you with that expertise, that what has come through the door as far as constituent services, some issues he touched on, a lot of immigration issues by way of visa issues, a lot of Social Security issues. I'm a vet, a lot of veterans who feel like they're not getting the health care or other benefits that they earned. If that includes any of you, feel free to see me directly. I won't leave here until anyone who wants to speak personally has had a chance to speak, even if that's after the event, that's fine. What she said about passports is so dead on. And here's how it always happens in the last 5 weeks. The wife calls terrified because the husband forgot that his passport expired and the whole family's supposed to leave the country in 10 days. This has been exclusively a male thing at this point. And the wife reaching out to try, the husband's like, forget it, I just won't go. And then she's like, I'll try to reach our congressperson. And this is what is happening. It's amazing how frequently it happens. Our job is also, in addition to all the direct constituent service, as Representative Adams says, to advocate for legislation that would be beneficial. We are in a divided Congress. I agree. I think there are more opportunities for bipartisanship than you hear about in the press. The big potato stuff, y'all, that's going to be real hard. There are a lot of medium-sized potatoes that are extremely important, would make a ton of difference to a ton of kids and a ton of families that you'll never hear about because it ain't going to make you mad. And if it don't make you mad, mostly it's not going to be in the news. They're looking for ways to make you mad every day. We're trying in these opportunities to give you the rest of the story about what's happening. And if you pay close attention, you're going to see us be able to work together on some things that are going to make you proud. Representative Adams and I, we're both in the minority party, but it is our job to deliver things even though it's going to be an uphill battle. And she's been there, she's a pro, so I can learn from her. Thank you all, I appreciate it.
I want to say thank you. You guys are terrific. You make it possible for us to have access in Washington. And that is a very important role for us to be able to make the use of money for infrastructure, to be able to get community development funding, all of these things, and even the community projects. That is just a wonderful effort that we can take on locally. So we want to say thank you very much for that. So I'm Lyles, and I serve as mayor. And I'm going to start off with a little bit of a statement. How many of you know what the Dillon Rule is? Oh, the lawyers in the room. Oh, my God. I wasn't talking to you guys. I was talking to the people that regularly work and things like this. The Dillon Rule is basically this, that counties are actually in the North Carolina Constitution, and they have specific responsibilities in that Constitution. The Dillon Rule is that cities can only do things that the legislature authorizes us to do. So if there's some things that you want for us to do, it has to be something within the scope of what the legislature has empowered us to do. Most of those things are pretty simple. Police, I want to say to CMPD, thank y'all. Come, stand up. Stand up. Yeah, stand up. So I want to say this today. I had a call, and I can't even remember. There were a lot of calls today, as you can imagine. But one of the calls, they said to me, I was actually meeting with the chair of the Police Foundation, and he said that there's no better police department in this country than CMPD, and how proud we are all of you and what you do. So back to the governmental lesson here. So that we are providing under the services and the authority of the legislature services that we take for granted probably by now. Police, fire, solid waste, which used to be called refuge collection, and those kinds of things. But we also have things that are very important to our community as we grow and as we try to address our growth that we have that I think people really are more interested in, because usually police and fire and solid waste, they're steady every day, although they have a challenge right now, and we all know that. So we think about this. We have funds for capital funding, and you know where my heart is for capital funding: affordable housing, transportation needs, and sidewalks, things like that. That's what we do. We do capital funding. We also implement community development funds that we receive from the federal government based upon a formula that none of you will ever care about. We do planning and zoning, and we focus on what I would say, if it's an urban service, then the city can do it, if we have the authority from the legislature. So a lot of times I get calls that I call the county about. Today I got a call, and it was about a daycare center, and I was saying, you need to contact Mecklenburg County. But most of the time, people understand this difference because we actually work so well together. It doesn't matter, because I'm not going to make them make that call. I'm going to make that call for them. So those are the kinds of things that all of us understand as service to this community. As mayor, I have the responsibility or the honor, or maybe sometimes I've lost my mind, to preside over the city council meetings. I also have the responsibility to appoint members of the city council to council committees. I make referrals to those committees, and that's generally when we have a subject that we really need to do a deeper dive before we can establish a policy. And then basically, I think when I look at my job is to represent the city in every way that I can, to make sure that every one of you feels that we can live with our values and we can actually accomplish the work that needs to be done. I tell people, I don't want to be the biggest city in the country. I want to be the best city in the country. And that means that we've adopted things like our equity policy framework. It means that we actually are talking about how do we spend that $50 million that you authorized us to make affordable housing more affordable for people in this community. And I'm going to be final and say my passion right now is around mobility. I want people on the east side to be able to get a job at the Pearl. I want people in the west side to be able to get the job in the new manufacturing offices that we have, in the offices downtown. So when you think about your life, it costs you probably $3,000 to $5,000 to own a car. Let's just say we take it down to $1,000 for you to ride a train or a bus safely to get you to your destination reliably and safe. That's $2,000 that you can put into your own personal decision and discretionary income. You could perhaps do more for your kids' education. You can write down the mortgage on your house. These are the practical things that the city is focused on, and I'm proud to serve as mayor of a city that cares that deeply about it.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, family. All right. I'm Mark Jerrell. I serve you on the Board of County Commissioners. One thing is never lost on me that I stood on a lot of shoulders to be able to sit up here tonight. And so I want to say thank you for your support. Also, I don't serve by myself. There are 8 other of my colleagues, 2 of which are here today. I want to acknowledge them again. Commissioner Pat Cotham, she serves at large. And also Commissioner Vilma D. Leak, whose district we sit in tonight, and who there is no greater voice for black people in this community than Commissioner Leak. Power to the people. And so the county, a lot of people think don't go past the city of Charlotte, with all due respect, Madam Mayor. But there are 6 towns that are also within our footprint and our scope of responsibility. You've got 3 towns in the north and 3 towns in the south. And so that's our scope of responsibility. Also, when you think about the Board of County Commissioners, think about quality of life services. So a couple of things that I think you all should know. We have a $2.2 billion budget. And so as our scope of responsibility is, we set the property tax rate. Think about, we fund education, we look at the environment, we look at mental health, health and human services, And speaking of Health and Human Services, we have our Deputy County Manager, Anthony Trotman, who is over Health and Human Services with us tonight. Thank you, Mr. Trotman. And we also have county staff here. Our economic development team is here as well. So thank you. You guys stand up, please. So as you can see at the county, we roll deep. We don't play around. We come together. And so I'm just so happy and proud. And one of the things that you also have to understand, as electeds, we ideate. We bring the idea, but it's up to staff to help us really implement that idea, and never forget that. And so the work that we do, we cannot do without them. And I think a lot of people don't understand that, and so I always want to take the opportunity to lift them up. Recently, the Board of County Commissioners, we had our board retreat. We do a retreat every 2 years after an election. And so we had our retreat, and that's where we take the time to set our board priorities. This is very important for you to understand what our priorities are as a board. Now, this is not limited in any way, but this is where we want to focus on. This is where we're saying that we've heard from you. This is what we think will give us the biggest lift in the community. So think about our priorities for FY24, so that's the coming fiscal year, will be health access, housing insecurity or affordable housing, educational attainment, also environmental stewardship, workforce development, early childhood development, and then we use a cross-cutting factor with all of our priorities, and that is racial equity. So we apply an equity lens to, or we're supposed to be applying an equity lens to everything that we do, right? So again, it's up to you to hold us accountable to that. With respect to our budget, $2.2 billion, like I said, when you take education and literacy, $805 million of our budget goes to education and literacy. Another $225 million of that goes to our Health and Human Services, to Mr. Trotman and his team to execute on behalf of our most vulnerable and those who have been marginalized. So you can see a significant portion of that $2.2 billion, how it's allocated, and then it's essentially broken up from there. But we have a large scope of responsibility, but again, I think it's very, very important for you to understand that it's the quality of life services that we are trying to address. So thank you, everybody.
My name is Stephanie Sneed, and I sit on the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Board of Education. I am the vice chair of the board. Before I kind of give you an overview, something just hit me in this moment that we are sitting in Reader Church, and this is Black History Month, and we have like Black history throughout this room, right? Just up here on this stage, we got Congresswoman Adams, was the first Black woman from Mecklenburg County to be elected to U.S. Congress. We have Mayor Lyles, the first Black woman to be the mayor of the 17th largest city in the U.S. We have Commissioner Jerrell, who's the first African American to be elected for the county commission in District 4. I'm the first African American to be elected from District 4 for school board. We have Rankin, who is a Black male that hasn't been on our school board in, it's been many years. I don't know, it's a lot of them. Has it been since Arthur Griffin? So that's been a long time. So we have history throughout this room, but the point that is not lost on me is that we are, as I said last night in our Board of Education meeting, is that we have it's 2023 and we have a lot of firsts, right? So we have a lot of firsts. So that we have to change that trajectory. And I'm not gonna leave Congressman Jeff Jackson out. He's not Black, but I know that I know that he shows up to our events when asked, and I'm sure that he's going to prove to be a champion for our issues to help change our trajectory for our families. So that just had to say that for a moment. But the school board, I'm gonna talk fast because we have a lot going on with the school board. Just kind of some of the main points of school board members. Do we go directly into schools and tell teachers how to teach or tell a principal what to do? No, we are a governing body. And one of the most important things that we do is hire and oversee the superintendent who executes the board policies and decisions in order so that children can be educated. We establish those goals and policies. We consider and adopt a budget, and that is key because the school board doesn't control its own budget. That is the county commission. They allot the money that CMS has to work with in order to make sure that the students are educated. And the other thing, so those are the main points. So we have a lot going on right now. So number one, as you know, we have a superintendent search happening right now. We just selected the executive search firm that will help us select and hire a superintendent. And our goal is that we have someone that is bold, someone that is going to make the changes necessary in order for our students to be great and to support our staff. That we're on a quick timeline. That we're planning to have that search done and someone selected by the end of April. So we'll be moving at lightning speed in order to get a superintendent hired. The second thing that we are working on is that we have a comprehensive bond package that we'll be putting forth to the county commission. Now, this is a big number, but we need this support, right? So we're asking for $2.9 billion with a B dollars to be on the ballot in November to support 30 schools that be built in a 5-year time frame. 30 schools in a 5-year time frame. Now I'm saying that's what we're putting forth to the county because the county makes the determination. Again, we don't control our own purse strings, people. The county is going to make the determination on what they agree with that can be put forth on a bond package, and then from them it goes to the state before we determine what's going to be on your ballot in November. The other thing is that we are working on student outcome focused governance model. Board member Rankin is going to be talking more about that, but that's one of the most important things we're working on as well because it specifically addresses student outcomes, like how are we going to change the trajectory for our students. And particularly, currently we have some goals that are specifically for Black students. The last thing that I want to tell you about is that we set forth a legislative agenda. And right now we have an aggressive legislative agenda that deals with I want to say lobbying, but trying to encourage our elected officials at the federal, county, state, and municipal levels to enact legislation that will support our systems. And a couple of things I want to tell you about that legislative agenda is that we're asking for reciprocity for teachers. Right now, you know that we have a teacher shortage, but there are a limited number of licenses don't transfer directly to the state from every other state, so we need to change that. We're asking for, of course, teacher pay, longevity pay, master's pay for teachers. We're asking on the federal and state level to ensure that we have free breakfast and lunch for all students. We are advocating for changes there so that we in the county level can control our school calendar. We're asking for free bus passes for our staff as well as high school students. And we're asking for a nurse in every school every day. So those are kind of some highlights that we're asking for in our legislative agenda. So we have a lot happening right now. I'll pass it on to Mr. Rankin, who's going to talk a little bit more in detail about some of these initiatives.
Good evening, everyone. D. Rankin, I represent District 3, which runs from the northwest part of Charlotte all the way to the northeast part of Charlotte. If I could, really quickly, before I get into it, all my educators, former educators, principals, teacher assistants, cafeteria workers, bus workers, if you're an educator or ever worked in the system now or later or before, could you just stand up for me really quickly? If you're an educator or former educator, have been an educator, can we give them a round of applause? That's the backbone of our district. Our teachers, the teacher assistants, they make us go. elected for a couple reasons. I'm informed by your value and your vision of the community. That's my purpose. But I don't know that if I don't hear from you. It's our job, like Stephanie said earlier, is to govern. We govern the district, but we also set policy. Policy moves everything. Colette knows when I get up here, you know I'm going to talk about policy. That's important to me. So we have certain committees that are in the district. That's where a lot of the work happens. So when you see on the second and fourth Tuesday of every month, what you see behind the scenes, there's certain committee work that goes on that we would love to have your input. Policy drives the decisions on how the schools move. Just the everyday things that you see is policy driven. Ms. Shipp is the chair of the policy committee. I serve on the policy committee. We have other committees. We have audit committee. We also have the facilities and operations. Ms. Thelma Beatties is the chair. She's here as also of that. I sit on that committee. But also on the committee chair of the SOFG committee, which is Student Outcomes Focused Governance. So everything that we do, we should be focusing on how is it affecting student outcomes. That's our goal. That's how we're supposed to govern. So I'm actually going to be going to a conference here pretty soon to learn more and get deep in details on how to govern and make sure we're keeping student outcomes at the center of our decisions. We also have something called an equity committee, where I serve as the liaison for the community equity committee. Equity should be at the center of all our decisions. Everything that we do. And equity does not mean equality. Equity means we need to provide whatever is necessary for individuals to be successful. That can mean human capital, social capital, financial capital. Whatever that means, that should be at the center of our decisions. So I serve as a liaison for the equity committee. There are a few other committees, so please stay engaged, not only on the second and fourth Tuesdays, but also pay attention to our committee work as well. One of our newly appointed equity committee members is here, Amanda Thompson, who's going to be doing a lot of great work. Has been doing a lot of great work. Chair of the CMAE here. So I know we got a lot to do. So I'm looking forward to hearing more from you and engaging with you. Thank you.
Thank you. So if we could have the facilitators to please come up. Tijuana Brown, who is a staunch advocate of individuals that are formerly incarcerated, if you could come forward. Bobby Drakeford, Economic Development Chair of the Black Political Caucus and a business owner himself. Judge Lutrosh, if you can come forward. Judge Rhonda Patterson, if you can come forward. School Board Member Lenora Shipp, if you can come forward. City Council Member Marjorie Molina, and the Honorable Judge Kimberly Best. So here's what we're going to do. If we could, because we don't want to inconvenience Ms. Velma Leak, if we could have Mr. Spencer, this row with Pastor Stephanie Hand, if you could move forward where Mr. Spencer is. And no, you stay there. Okay, all right. So if you could move forward and where the row that Mr. Spencer just moved from and fill that row. This is one group. And if you could move forward, yes, ma'am. This is one group. Stay right there, Judge. All right. So this will be another group. If the facilitators, if you would move forward towards a group, because I'm not picking your group. If you would move forward towards a group, Ms. Brown or Beth, if you would move forward towards a group. This is one group with Ms. Velma Leak. This is another group right here with Judge Matt Newton. Excuse me. All right, we've got 1, 2, 3. If you would move in this row, this will be another group. And this will be another group. 1, 2, 3. If you all could move up or back, whatever your druthers, this will be a group 1, 2, 3. These rows right here. This will be a group. You stay right there, sir. You're fine. This will be another group.
So, Ms. Forrest, I didn't realize I had my deputy chief and district director here, Sandra Brown. I want to stand up. I want you all to meet her. And I want to also say that in March, as soon as we get my new office situated, we'll be having an open house.
Blessed.
We're located off of Mallet Creek Church Road.
Thank you so much, Dr. Congresswoman Alma Adams. All right, so this will be, so if you would, no, don't, I didn't want y'all to move. This is your group. This is your group. Just one pew would be empty so you don't buff, the noise doesn't buff. So if you could sit right over here. Yeah, and CMPD, you can be a part of a group as well. So 1, 2, 3, this is another group. So this is one group. If you all would come, Judge Levine, and move forward. Yep, this will be another group. Ms. Pope, Mr. Love, if you all would move forward, this will be another group. If you would move forward, this will be another group. Because we want, and what we want to do, we want to leave a pew empty between the groups so the volume and the noise won't disturb everyone. So this is a good, small, intimate crowd. This can be one group. And if you could move forward, Judge Reggie McKnight, I didn't get a chance to introduce him. Judge Reggie McKnight, he is one of our Superior Court judges that sit on the Superior Court. We have District Court Judge Gary Henderson, former City Council person David Howard, if you guys can move forward. And I think I might be about to put y'all to work, the judges. So this can be, and you all could move back. So if I could have, at least in every group, can I have a CMPD officer? In every group, because your voice is valuable as well. Can I make sure in every group I have a CMPD officer? I don't want y'all to be clustered up. So now every group needs to have a pew empty between them. Every group needs to have a pew empty between them. Right, yes, ma'am. Yeah. So you could stay here, Ms. Matworth, no problem. All right, I need the facilitators to be standing up so I can make certain that every group has a facilitator. Ms. Shipp, if I could have every facilitator to stand up, so I can make sure. All right, so Mr. Drakeford, this is your group. Or who has, okay, all right. So Ms. Brown, this is your group. Okay, all right. So Judge Curitan, Judge Patterson, okay, so Judge Trosh. So can I recruit Judge Gary Henderson? Can you be a facilitator of this group? District Court Judge? Thank you, Your Honor.